Thinking about revamping or upgrading to a new station website? Today we'll cover 10 tips that will help you successfully relaunch.
This is Better Radio Websites, the podcast for radio professionals who want to see their website generate more traffic and revenue. Each week, your host, Jim Sherwood, and his special guests give you time-tested tips and secret tricks to ensure your radio station dominates digital in your market. Here we go.
Hi, it's Jim, and thanks a lot for tuning in this week to Better Radio Websites. This is a podcast that, regardless of platform, we want to help you get the very most of your radio station website. One thing that we have seen across the board, if you've been in the business for any length of time, you know that when something works, we don't want to mess with it. It works great. Let's not touch it. Well, that can be a bad thing sometimes, especially when it comes to our radio station website, because an old or outdated website kind of sends the message that you aren't up on the latest trends. I mean, there comes a time when every radio station needs to revamp or relaunch for a better impact, just to be in the now. I mean, older websites, they may not be optimized for speed. They may not be mobile optimized, thinking about mobile first. I mean, we've seen a lot of radio station websites out there that whenever you shrink the browser down, just on your desktop browser, if you shrink it down, then things start breaking and disappearing. If it doesn't look great on mobile devices, that's where most of the traffic is going to be coming from. So that is their first impression of your radio station. If something is breaking, that's not a good first impression. They're probably not going to click on the listen live. They're just going to go somewhere else. So how often should you think about redesigning your website? Well, there's no real solid answer. Most experts will tell you every 2 to 3 years. And that's because, much like fashion, web design has trends that kind of go in and come out. And after a while, things just start to look old or retro. Compare your website to other stations in your market and in the bigger markets. Now, I should say that if you compare them to bigger markets, you are going to see a lot of cookie cutter, because if you get into the iHearts and the Cumuluses and the CBSs, they all look the same regardless of market. I'm not saying look at them and let's try to be cookie cutter and try to copy them. That's not what we're saying. We're saying maybe don't look at other radio stations in bigger markets. Look at some TV stations, look at some marketing agencies, look at some news websites that maybe are not any way affiliated with media. I mean, so look at them, and you can be able to see different kinds of trends and how that your radio station can fall into that and look more modern. Now, relaunching a website may seem just overwhelming, and it can be if you don't plan ahead. There's some simple rules that you can follow that will make your relaunch not only easy, but successful. Number 1, benchmarks. All right, know what your traffic is doing before you even start to redesign anything. See what pages and posts are performing well and say, well, maybe we need to do more of this and focus more of this on our new website. Number 2, goals. Once you have those benchmarks, kind of set goals for the next level of this new website. Take a look at your competitors. Do some research through some websites. There's one called SEO Rush, stands for Search Engine Optimization, rush.com. And you can know what keywords that other stations near you might be ranking for. You can actually put a URL in there and see how they're coming up in search results. Yeah, you can. SEOrush.com, and we'll leave a link to it in the show notes. But you can see maybe we need to do more local sports or local news or weather. You can see what they are ranking for versus what your site is ranking for, and you can see their most visited pages. Pretty cool information out there if you just go out there and look for it. Number 3, research or revamp your content. Now, you can't just set it and forget it on any website. If you think about your station website as something that you can just set and forget, you're never going to be successful and start bringing in digital revenue into your radio station. It's just not going to happen. You can't do that on a website that you just set and forget. Or if you only import content from somewhere else, you have to put something local that that people can't get anywhere else on your website. Besides fixing things that are broken, a relaunch is a great time to start looking at this. What do we want visitors to do when they get to our website? Maybe we had a slider on our previous website and it was the same 5 slides for the last 3 years. It had a morning show slide, it had an afternoon show slide, it had a midday slide. Nobody was clicking on that stuff because sliders really are going out across the internet. Maybe we need to replace that with the one thing that we want visitors to do whenever they come to our website. Is it sign up for a newsletter? Is it sign up for a contest? Is it listen live? What information do we want to give them? We want to have that front and center. Maybe take a fresh look at what on-air content that can be repurposed now for online. Anything that the morning show is doing, news that the morning news guy is doing, every story that they produce can be repurposed and put online. Importing new external content, do we need to do some of that? Maybe add some audio or video components? Maybe podcasting, do we want to put that on the website as well? And so in the initial planning phases, decide who's going to be updating this new content, because that's very, very important. There are a lot of radio stations that redo their website, then they try to figure out who's going to be updating it. Oh, well, maybe we shouldn't have done this because now we don't have anybody that wants to do this or is willing to do this, or, maybe I have to hire somebody now and now we don't have a budget for that. Things change, but decide who's going to do what before you start the relaunch process. Speaking of content, be sure that if you have some content that's on your previous website that is popular, maybe a swap shop, or is it weather, or is it local sports news or something like that, scores or whatever, be sure that that information is just as easy to locate, if not in the same location on this new revamped website. You want it to be just as easy and in their face as before. If you can, try not to let any of the bookmarks change. Sometimes it has to happen, especially switching from one content management system to another, where all of the links change. Just think about that as well, because SEO is number 4. SEO, it stands for search engine optimization. It's really how people find your website when they don't know about it. All right. That's what search engine optimization is for. You want to make sure that your people know that they need to put different keywords in all of their images. They need to make their news post SEO friendly. And there are plugins out there that you can get that kind of help in this process. Just be sure that everybody kind of has this mindset whenever they're creating new posts and new pages on your new website to keep SEO in mind, because you want anything that is created for the website to be easily found in any search engine. So keep SEO in mind no matter what you're doing on the website. That is very, very important. Okay, number 5, give your current visitors and advertisers a heads up. If you have lots of traffic on your website, be sure to let your visitors know that you're revamping your website. Maybe send out a short note in your mailing list and let your social media followers know. Let them know that you're in the process of redesigning and when they can expect to see the new website. Also inform your advertisers too, in case banner ads need to be resized or updated. This is a great time actually to sell advertisers on new upcoming features that might be added. You may also want to offer special incentives for them to be included on this relaunch, because you're going to be promoting it like crazy, right? All right, so that's a good sell point right there. Number 6, create a digital inventory list. Now, we talked about this last week. Make a plan for selling the new website and where all of the banner ads and sponsorships are going to be located, how much those placements are going to be costing, so that sellers can have everything that they need on day one, especially if things have changed. So like if your weather page didn't have very much sponsorship opportunity in the past, let them know now that no, we can put your banners all over the weather page. And so just be sure that your sellers have everything that they need on day one. Now, before you launch, be sure that you test your pre-launch page or your proof page in multiple browsers. This step is missed by a lot of radio stations. Be sure that it comes up well on your phone. Be sure that it comes up fast on your phone. There are many services out there that charge a fee like Browser Stack and Browserling. These are services in your browser that you can actually pull up the website as it looks on an iPhone or an Android and different sizes, an iPad and a Samsung Galaxy this and all kinds of other things. So you can actually see what your website looks on a multitude of different devices. Be sure that the text adapts and that's clear to read on all of those devices, that the images are sharp resolution. Also, test out a way the site functions on a mobile device. When you turn it sideways, test it out and see how it works and be sure that it works out great. Also, number 8, plan for launch promotion. If you build it, they won't necessarily come. So be sure that before the site launches that you have a plan to promote the launch on air, on social, email blast. This is also going to be a great time to renew your imaging and sweepers as well. Maybe you want to, and the new so-and-so.com. It's a great time to do that. Also, number 9, check and update your branding. How does the look of your new website stack up to the branding on other platforms? Did the colors and the design, did they change on the new website? If they did, be sure that your social media headers and profile images are all changed as well, even all the way down to your email footers. If you have the logo or anything like that in your email signature, be sure that you update that. Any contact info about us, every place, be sure that everywhere that there's a piece of branding about this station is updated and that everything looks the same. Number 10, listen to your site visitors once you relaunch the site. Take some time to gather some feedback from your visitors and advertisers. Ask them, have you had a chance to check out our new website yet? What do you think about that? Is there anything that we can change? Devote as much time as you can to asking those questions, answering questions and feedback from your listeners and advertisers, and fixing problems if any pop up. Now, some folks will actually invest in website review studies, and I highly recommend that you do that. Actually sit somebody who's never seen your website before down in front of it and say, okay, what's our format? Where are we located? Where can you listen to us? All of these great questions. Seth Ressler, if you go to sethressler.com, has some great tips on website reviews. So be sure that you hit him up. So have a plan in place before you pick a website provider or designer. All right, if you're going to go with somebody, or if you have somebody picked out locally, or if you're going to decide on a service, be sure that you have most of this plan all laid out. Decide about, what content you're going to have on it. Decide your banner ad placements. Depending on the website provider and the designer that you choose, you may have to adjust that a little bit. But most of the time, you shouldn't. You should be able to actually have a list of what pages that you want to have sponsored. And so know your goals and how to implement them, and be sure that you know who at the radio station is going to be assisting in all of this. All right. Once you have all of this down and you have a point person at the radio station who can coordinate with the designer developer, it's going to cut way down on the redesign build time. Relaunching your station website, it's actually an important marketing tactic, and it's something that you should do every 2 to 4 years. Plan on that. All right. What it does is it keeps your visitors on their toes, and it keeps your station on the radar of new advertisers. It gives everybody something to have a buzz about at the radio station and about the radio station. All right. So I hope these tips help. If they do, we'd love to hear about it. Reach out to us, jim@skyrocketradio.com. And be sure that you give this podcast a thumbs up in whatever platform that you are listening to us on. And be sure that you hit that subscribe button. Have an awesome week online, making your radio station website better. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Better Radio Websites. Inspired by today's episode? Be sure you are subscribed and share this episode with a friend. Visit skyrocketradio.com/podcasts for more episodes as well as show notes for this episode. Need help starting or making your station website better? Visit skyrocketradio.com.